Now, during your attack phase, you can place down spells just like any other card. That is, unless it's an instant, like I went over before. In my hand, I have Disperse. Return target non-land permanent to its owner hand. I will tap the 2 mana and play Disperse. Now, it's very important that you read the cards. For this one, return target non-land permanent. My opponent is attacking with a whopping 5/6. I don't want to take 5, because no matter how I block it, one of my cards will be dead. So, I will use Disperse on the Vastwood Gorger. This card, the Disperse, would go to my graveyard, and the Vastwood Gorger would go to my opponent's hand. Now, because the Vastwood Gorger is gone from the field, and my opponent is still attacking me, I'm going to decide to block. My opponent is attacking with a 3/3 and a 4/3 from the Nestled Swine. So, how I'm going to do it is that I'm going to use the 2/5 to block the 4/3. Now, this card has 5 life, as the Nestled Swine has 3. It has 2 attack, so it deals 2 damage to the Nestled Swine. The Nestled Swine deals 4 damage to the 5 life of Armored Cancrix. They both will stay alive. Now, because they both stay alive, they will return. Now, once you block a creature, you cannot use that exact same creature to block another one. If you use one creature to block one, you have to be able to use another creature to block or take the damage, if that makes sense, which it does. So, because I can no longer block with my Armored Cancrix, because it already blocked the Nestled Swine, I will have to use my Squirrel Thief to block the Centaur Courser. Now, the Centaur Courser has 3 life, as my Squirrel Thief also has 3 life. But this has 1 attack, and this has 3. My Squirrel Thief will die because it only deals 1 damage to the Centaur Courser, as 3 will be dealt to Squirrel Thief. Now, at the end, each creature will regenerate its life. Now, as I've said before, you have to read the cards. Every card has a special ability that allows you to do some sort of weird, freaky stuff. So, let's bring down some cards that have these abilities. Let's say it's during your turn, you put down Kraken of the Straits, a whopping 6/6. And you put down Water Servant, a 3/4. Now notice, they both have certain texts in with their cards. If you can read it, Kraken of the Straits says, creatures with power less than the number of islands you control can't block Kraken of the Straits. And I control 5 islands. As for my Water Servant, if I tap 1 blue mana, this card gets a +1, -1, or if I tap 1, it gets a -1, +1 to its. So, it's all about how you read the card. Now, let's take this into a scenario. Remember that I have 5 blue islands, mana cards. Now, let's say my opponent also is able to put down some cards, such as Disciple of Old Ways, Greenside Watcher, and Rumbling Baloth. Now, the Disciple of Old Ways has, if you tap 1 red mana, Disciple of Old Ways gains First Strike. First Strike meaning it deals damage first before any other card is dealt damage to this card. The Greenside Watcher, if my opponent controls a gate for a land, if he taps the Greenside Watcher, he can untap that land. The Rumbling Baloth is a simple 4/4. He's so left out. Now, remember, I have 5 mana for the blue. So, let's take this into 2 examples. Let's say I'm attacking with my Kraken of the Straits. Remember how it says the number of islands I control, which is 5. Make sure you count it for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I control, and with creatures with power less than this number cannot block it. Rumbling Baloth is a 4/4, but not a 5/5. Greenside Watcher is a 2/1, no 5. Disciple of Old Ways is a 2/2. So, because none of my opponent has 5 attack with any of his creatures, he has to take the 6 damage. His life will go down by 6. Now, let's say my opponent decides to attack with Rumbling Baloth. And somehow he was able to put down Vastwood Gorger, and he's also attacking with it. Now, my Water Servant. Remember how you have those abilities +1 to get attack, +1 to get -1? Now, this is a 3/4. No, despite who I block, this card will die. So I might as well take one out as I can. So, I'm going to pay 1, 2, 3 mana to activate the first ability of the Water Servant. The first ability of the Water Servant means, if you can read it, the Water Servant gets +1 to its attack and -1 to its health until end of turn. Now, it's a 3/4, and I tapped 3 mana. So this creature will become a 6/1 until end of turn. I will then use it to block the Vastwood Gorger. Now, it's pretty cool because the Vastwood Gorger is a 5/6, and my Water Servant, I think you can read it now, is a 3/4. So, but because I paid 3 mana, it's now a 6/1, deals 6 damage to the 6 life, and even though this deals 5 damage to the 1 life, they're both dead, and I no longer have to worry about this card. We went through a lot today, so let me just go through a quick rundown before I leave you guys and go on my epic journey of life, trying to make more videos and teach you guys how to play Magic the Gathering. Seems cool, right? Good. Now, let's go through a quick review. Let me just set these cards out in a stylish manner. And I'll play some background music for you. Gotcha! Yeah. I should be on American Idol. I mean, I have such a great voice, but it'll probably be too good that everybody would die because it's that amazing, right? Yeah, I think that's how it'll go. I zoomed in on my camera a little bit right here for a minute so I can give you the final rundown. Alright. I tap my mana, and I'm going to put down Scroll Thief. I cannot attack with that creature this turn because of Summoning Sickness. I just put that card down, so I'm going to have to wait until my next turn. If I decide to attack my opponent, I have to tap the card 90 degrees. So you'll be basically turning it 90 degrees on its side. Once you tap a creature, it does not untap until your next step, until your next turn. While a creature is tapped, they cannot block until they are untapped. When attacking, you cannot choose to attack a monster or creature your opponent controls. Such as, I want to attack your Rumbling Baloth. It doesn't work like that. You are simply attacking your opponent. Your opponent decides how he wants to block or deal the damage. A strategy tip which I went over in this video is that you want to leave at least one creature untapped. In this case, I want to leave my Armored Cancrix, just in case my opponent decides to take the damage and attack me. I can use this card to block. Let's move on to blocking. If my opponent attacks me with Disciple of Old Ways and Centaur Courser, and in my hand I have Scroll Thief and Water Servant, I can choose which creatures I would like to block. I'm going to use my Water Servant to block Centaur Courser, and my Scroll Thief to block Disciple of Old Ways. From the Disciple of Old Ways and the Scroll Thief, if you look at them real quickly, it is the Disciple of Old Ways is a 2/2, and the Scroll Thief is a 1/3. I don't think you can see those numbers really clear, but the Disciple of Old Ways deals 2 damage to the 3 life of the Scroll Thief, and the Scroll Thief deals 1 damage to the 2 life of the Disciple of Old Ways. They both survive because they still have life remaining over. So they return, and I get no damage from this card. At the end of the turn, these 2 cards will regenerate their life and go back to 2 life and 3 life. Let's say I'm blocking the Water Servant with the Centaur Courser. The Centaur Courser is a 3/3, and my Water Servant is a 3/4. Deals 3 damage to the 3 life of the Centaur Courser, and the Centaur Courser deals 3 damage to the 4 life of the Water Servant. Because the Water Servant still has life left over, this card survives, but because Centaur Courser is dealt 3 damage equal to its 3 life, this card, would be dead. Now, if your opponent is attacking with 2 creatures, and let's say you only have 1, and you block 1 creature, you cannot use that exact same creature that you used to block this one to block the other one. Once you block a creature, you cannot use that exact same card to block another one. If your opponent is attacking you, and you have mana left over, and for example you have Disperse in your hand, return target non-land permanent to your opponent's hand, you can place down only instant cards onto the battlefield when it is not your turn. Because your opponent is attacking you, and this is a instant, I can play this card. My opponent has attacked me with a 5/6, a 4/4, and a 4/3. I can use any mana I have left over to play this card. And for now, I'm going to use it on the Vastwood Gorger. The instant would go into your graveyard, and the Vastwood Gorger will return to my opponent's hand. And I can easily block like any other game. A lot of cards have certain abilities, such as Kraken of the Straits, Scroll Thief, and Water Servant. Scroll Thief, whenever this card deals damage to a player, I get to draw a card. Kraken of the Straits, creatures with power less than the number of islands you control cannot block it. And my Water Servant has, if I tap mana, blue mana, I can either give it +1 to its attack or +1 to its defense until end of turn. So if I attack my opponent with Scroll Thief and he decides to take the damage, I get to draw a card. Hey look, Wall of Frost. If I attack with my Kraken of the Straits and I have 5 islands on my field, none of my opponent's creatures have 5 attack, so they have to take the damage from the Kraken of the Straits. My Water Servant. Let's say I'm attacking with him and I tap 2 mana. My Water Servant gains 2 to its attack and -2 to its life. This is a 3/4, so it will become a 5/2 until end of turn. So hey guys, today I went over the basics of Magic the Gathering, attacking and blocking creatures. I hope what we went over, what I told you, and what I showed as an example helped you out on your path of becoming a Planeswalker. And hey, thanks for watching the video. You have a good day, night, evening. I don't even know if you're going to be watching some naughty stuff. After this, make sure you clean up after your mess. And I don't even know, but what I do know is that you should subscribe to my channel and not have sex with horses. I mean it, don't have sex with horses. This is Overlord 86700 saying thank you, goodbye, and signing off. Magic the Gathering. I hear how. Woo. Special thanks to my sexy hands and sexy watch. Woo. They were a great help today. If you spot Billy the Goat, please tell me. Leave it down in the comments below. And I'll say good job. Yay! Woo!